Okay, it's Mike. It's Old Religion Dystopia, Known versus Belief. On YouTube is Old Religion 2. It's funny, the censorship. I almost got to 300. Yesterday morning, I had 299 subs. And then I wake up this morning, it's 297. And I swear to you, and I've been saying this for over a year, almost a year, at least 6 months. I said, they're not going to let me have 300 subs. The censorship that's going on, I used to have thousands of subs. and because I spoke too much truth, and they took my channel down along with thousands of others back in the January the 6th, 2021, they literally won't let me ever be heard again. I'm not saying I'm any good at it, but just because I'm not any good at it doesn't mean anything. I know, once again, thousands of YouTube channels and other channels that are much better than I am. Although they might be better at doing graphics, but I find that a form of sorcery that doesn't help anybody in the end. And their audio might be better and all that kind of stuff, but it's amazing. It just won't happen. It might happen, but they're going to make me pay dearly just to get 300 subs for speaking truth. And also, I know I edited properly my last recording, and like a couple words just didn't come out right. That's weird. So it looks to me like, I think I brought up the idea of being with Claudia. It's not going to happen this week. She says she's going to the other part of the country to help somebody else out who's dealing with Bigfoot and Sasquatch. She says that the conversation I had with her helped her, so that's good. Hope that's true. Anyways, I do need to get on with my life and do stuff. So, but I do also want to read some more of this book and plug along. I understand if a lot of people aren't interested in it. It's a simple book, but I like it for whatever it's worth. I find it intriguing. That's part of some people's journey. I'm not telling anybody to do anything, so I'm sharing the supposed experience that Will Buhlman had, Adventures Beyond the Body, How to Experience Out-of-Body Travel. So, journal entry, April 12, 1991. I enter the vibrational state and will myself to the bedroom door. I'm slightly out of focus and say aloud, "Clarity now." Immediately my vision improves and I step through the bedroom door. I stop my forward motion and decide to explore inward instead of walking around my house. Spontaneously I call out, I move inward. Instantly I feel an intense inner emotion. It lasts for several weeks. It's as if I am being drawn into a vacuum of space. The sense of motion abruptly stops, and I'm standing in front of an oceanfront home. The house sits about 10 feet in the air, resting on 12-inch thick wooden pillars. My vision is slightly foggy, so I ask for clarity again. My vision snaps into focus and I think about entering the house. Almost instantly I'm inside. As I look around, everything seems familiar. I feel completely comfortable, and for some reason I am absolutely certain that this is my non-physical home. Of course. The wall facing the ocean is made of glass. As I move closer to the glass, I notice that the corners are curved like plastic. It looks like a home, a future of the future filled with things from the past. All the furniture, artwork, and rugs appear to be antiques. Looking around, I clearly see my lion head rocking chair facing the ocean. As I state, I recognize that this could be my home in the future. I don't know if it's my physical future or possible future after my death. But I do know that it's a reality existing now. Feeling completely at home, I walk over to the glass wall and peer out at the ocean. The sound of the ocean is magnificent. Instead of pounding surf, instead of pounding surf, there is a strong rhythmic harmony, like a song. I listen instantly, trying to recognize the melody. Instinctively, I open the door and step out onto a huge deck overlooking the ocean. The music of the waves is almost hypnotic in its beauty. The sound seems to move through me. It resonates deep within my body and my mind. It's hard to describe, but the ocean seems to radiate love. As the music flows through me, it feels as if I'm being caressed by the vibrations of the song. As I look at the ocean, I'm amazed at the changing colors of the waves. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. Shimmering hues merge and blend to form endless swirls of vivid color. The colors are beyond description. Millions of shades and tints changing and mixing to the form of flowing light show a indescribable beauty. My mind is lost in the vibrations and song of the ocean. I feel completely at peace, my entire being resonating with the music of the song. I feel a need to merge with the ocean, but inwardly I am afraid that I could be swallowed up and drown. My indecision suddenly becomes clear, and I recognize my fear. I thought that I had overcome my fears, but now it's obvious that I have considerable work ahead of me. As I try to analyze this realization, I snap back into my body. The numbness and tingling sensations quickly fade as I ponder the experience. I realize that this is the second time I've been in this home. The first time was at a meeting I attended with several people. This house feels so much like home. I wonder if it's where I lived before I was physically born. Even more, I wonder about the ocean of color and music. I suspect that the ocean is my mind's interpretation on something that's beyond my comprehension. I can only guess that it is the sea of consciousness, or maybe my mind's interpretation of God's interpretation. Perhaps Let me try this again. My dyslexia is really bad this morning. I can only guess that it is a sea of consciousness, or maybe my mind's interpretation of God itself. Perhaps both of these are the same. I still don't know, but I'm sure I'm getting closer to the answer. In journal entry, October 24th, 1992. I repeat my favorite affirmation aloud for 5 to 10 minutes. Now I am out of body. As I drift off, I intensify the affirmations in my mind. I awaken to the sensations of strong vibrations surging through my body. Immediately, I focus my full attention on the idea of floating to my bedroom door. Within seconds, I feel myself lift and float to the door. Then, with a sense of exhilaration, I walk. It's supposed to be through it if you put the R there. I walk through the door and into the living room. As I look around, I realize that I am in my first densest energy body, and even a sudden overwhelming urge to explore, almost shouting. I verbally make a firm request. I want to see more. Instantly, a sense of rapid motion draws me inward. I feel as if I am being drawn into a vacuum. In seconds, I'm in a new environment. I'm startled and blinded by the intensity of the surrounding light. When I instinctively attempt to shield myself from the radiation, I realize that my body is without form. No arms or legs, just energy. I try to comprehend that I have no shape whatsoever. I seem like light without a distinctive outer form. My vision is endless. All around, excuse me, all around pure energy emanates. There are no shapes or forms, just radiation of light. I'm drawn to what appears to be a column of pure white light. There's that column again. As I move closer to the light, the sheer power of its radiation is overpowering. I stop and try to adjust. The energy is so intense, it feels like the outer parts of me are being burned away. My entire outer self, my thoughts, fears, and concepts, is being incinerated by the light. At first, I try to shield myself. I surround myself with thoughts only to realize that they, too, are being burned away by the intensity of the light. Unsure of what to do, I instinctively release and surrender myself to the light. At that moment, the light enters me like a warm liquid, permeating my body and mind. My entire being is filled with light. Every part of me seems to resonate at a new frequency. I relax and enjoy the sensation of pure energy flowing through me. Deep within, I realize that something of extreme importance is before me. There is something else within the column of light. No longer afraid, I have an overpowering desire to know and understand the light. I move closer and try to peer inside. The pure energy and power is beyond words. I feel like I'm standing next to a blazing white sun that radiates waves of light. Somehow I know that I am safe. I slowly move forward and touch the light. An intense surge of energy flows through my entire being. I'm suddenly immersed in an ocean of pure knowledge. I'm flooded with memories of all I've been, all I've done, all that I am. Everything is now. I'm overwhelmed by the absolute simplicity of it all. For the first time, everything is clear. Everything we are and need is already here. For the first time, I recognize that we have separated ourselves from our source. How foolish are we? We focus on decaying molecular forms, when true reality is always here, patiently waiting for us to open our eyes and see. I don't know about this, but an overpowering feeling of love, a deep feeling of compassion for everything that is, permeates my being. I realize that we are all interconnected in an ocean of living light. The separateness we feel is but the dense illusion of the molecular form. My awareness comes alive with the realization of my mind and its capabilities are but another temporary vehicle of expression. We exist beyond thought, beyond time, beyond linear cause and effect. I am overwhelmed by endless waves of pure knowledge. My mind is filled beyond its limits, and I realize that this is more than I can ever hope to remember. I scream out, I will remember this. Instantly, I'm snapped back into my body and attempt to open my eyes. I'm unable to move and recognize that I'm in a, what is this? Catalyptic? A catalyptic state. Okay. Slowly I am feeling the numbness and tingling spread through my physical body. After about a minute, I can move my fingers and toes. I lie still and review the experience with a feeling of awe. I absolutely know that the column of light was really me, not just another part of me, but the pure me, the very essence of all I am. It is possible that we are really that incredible. Now I feel separate and alone, yet at the same time I feel connected to something far greater than I've ever imagined. My mind races with realizations more than I can begin to comprehend. Realization more than I can. Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. My mind races with realizations more than I can comprehend. How can you have realization more than I can comprehend? It's kind of an oxymoron. Anyways, I recognize that we, as human beings, have a natural tendency to attach labels to everything we experience and to filter it according to our physical concepts and beliefs. I wonder if all shapes and forms are really our mind's interpretation of something else. I think that's a good point right there. I wonder, especially in the afterlife, and even in the mind's eye. Yes. I wonder if all shapes and forms are really our mind's interpretation of something else, something that exists beyond all form and substance, something so pure and ethereal as to be beyond our mind's ability to classify and interpret. It's possible that our recognition of this is a major step towards in and of itself. Maybe the constant infighting between different religions, faiths, and sects, of course you got to bring this up, would finally come to an end if we only recognized all that all religions beliefs are the physical interpretation of mortals, or it's mind control. In fact, all religions are mind control. That's what it is. It's other people trying to control your mind and profiteering from our ignorance. But now, it's now absolutely clear that God does not care about our personal theology. How much is this New Age gobbledygook at this point? It's there, yeah. Our physical beliefs are all rooted in temporary forms and substances. They are all but a passing moment in time. What really matters is experience, spiritual experience. Well, how can you have spiritual experience in the physical form? You know, how do you know you're not having, once again, false interpretation or false experience? Isn't that right? First-hand, gut-wrenching personal experience. Nothing can replace it. It's now clear that personal experience is the road to wisdom that we all share. Well, of course. Of course. That doesn't even take any great insight for that one. As I expanded my exploration beyond the first inner dimension, I began to notice some unusual sights. In some areas, clouds of energy dominated the environment. I was especially amazed to see some of these clouds taking specific forms. I saw what appeared to be cars, homes, and even cruise ships partially created. So these are all very material things that in our own physical realm. But I don't know why you would need any of that in the true spiritual realm. After years of experience, I have concluded that these items are the direct result of human thought. Of course they are. The environments within the non-physical dimension are made of thought-responsive energy. Thoughts appear to be innately capable of arranging the subtle energies that make up the unseen dimensions. And others are imagination, which I don't think you need to have outer body experiences to have that. I found that the natural energy substance of the inner dimensions appears like clockwork forms of energy. Not clockwork, it appears as cloud-like forms of energy. In a sense, this energy is an easily manipulated radiation of light. It appears that the building blocks of the unseen dimensions are not particles, atoms, and quarks, there should be quarks, but waves of frequencies of energy and light. When I examined the energy clouds, it became apparent that they exist as clusters of raw, unformed energy, much like holograms that are slowly growing and changing in form and density. A journal entry, April 12, 1991. I feel the vibrations. Did we jump? What happened there? Yeah, we went. It kind of skipped there, and that. So that the last entry was 92 of October 24th, 1992, and then we're back to 1991 of April, and then we'll go back to December of 1992. Okay. I feel the vibrations and will myself to the foot of my bed. I feel a little hazy and out of focus. So I immediately demand complete clarity. Instantly, my conscious mind seems to snap in gear. My thoughts become clear. My mind is alive and racing with excitement as I say to myself, this is better than my physical brain. Suddenly, I feel an intense inner need to discover my past life. Spontaneously, I say loudly, I need to know my past life. Instantly, there's a sensation of inner motion, and I find myself in a completely new environment. I'm surrounded by an incredible scene of destruction. As I look down a long city street, I see nothing but demolished buildings. I realize that my upper body is extending through the hatch of a tank. And then it hits me that I'm seeing through the eyes of this other man, the soldier. I am this man. I feel his thoughts and emotions. I'm extremely arrogant and self-assured and feel strangely powerful as I look at the burning buildings and rubble around me. I'm proud of what I've done. I'm a tank commander, a German commander. Of course, it has to be German. It couldn't be possibly an American one. And by the way, my dad was one of those. And they screwed his life up forever in physical realm in the Korean War. Somehow I knew that the city is Warsaw, Poland. Well, sure, of course. All the thousands of other villages and towns, it has to be Warsaw. And it has to be a German Panzer. You know, if you're going to be a tank commander, you might as well be a German Panzer commander, right? And my soldiers and I have just conquered it. My tank grinds to a halt at the center of what used to be a major city intersection. Several tanks around me fire, and the entire blocks of the buildings collapse before me. I am pleased with myself holding some kind of device. I bark orders to a tank on my right. As I look at my arm, I notice that my uniform is black and is covered with gray powder. Suddenly, the intense sense of emotion, like a vacuum, snaps me back into my physical body. I open my eyes and feel a numbness and tingling as I reunite with the physical. I'm startled and amazed at the intensity of the experience, and I was not just an observer but an active participant. For a few moments I felt what this man felt. I was this man. I feel disappointed with myself. I had envisioned myself as something more than an arrogant German officer. Oh, you mean like an arrogant American officer? Is that better? Or Russian? What? Maybe this explains my current anti-war sentiment and also my fascination with World War II documentaries, which probably planted these images in your mind in the first place, William. If this German tank commander was indeed my last physical life, I wondered just how much of him influences me now. The realization sweeps through me that he may affect me more than I would like to admit. As I look at myself as objectively as possible, a flood of new insights comes to light. I seriously wonder just how arrogant, demanding, and aloof I am now. And of course, everyone is at some degree, right? Do I still bark orders and expect to be intensely obeyed? I don't know. Did you back then, William? I tried to give orders. You know, I was given a dream. I think I was telling my son something to do. It was weird, too. He wouldn't listen to me. It was for his benefit. And my son was like a cross between my little brother and me. And actually, it was one of the most aggressive dreams I ever had of me being aggressive. Out of frustration. Oh, I think it had something to do with hanging up the phone or something like that. Which don't really have a problem with my son hanging up the phone. Well, I do have problems having my son close that dang front door. He just is not capable of doing it. I just don't. It's so funny. It's kind of comical, actually. At this point, as the old phrase goes, if I haven't told you once, I told 1,000 times. And I literally have, and it still doesn't make any dent. So I guess who's winning that one? Who's winning that one? My son's winning that one, that's for sure. If there is any battle. Anyways, but yeah, arrogance. I think all of us have our own degree of arrogance, and many of us sound, especially the older we get, we sound more arrogant. Especially, my favorite thing is tone of voice. My favorite thing of all is tone. I don't like your tone. You text something on like Facebook or on comment section on YouTube or something else, and you're like, well, how do you know what my tone is? How do you know if I'm angry, upset, or barking at you? There's not all capital letters. There's not shouting. And then if it's all capital letters automatically, it means you're shouting. No, a lot of times I'll type something and then hit enter and then realize, oh my gosh, it's all in capital letters because I have a tendency of hitting the cap lock and the shift button, mixing them up. And I don't know if about you, but a lot of times I type something. And of course, I'm a dyslexic, and so it looks like it's right, and then I hit enter, and then I look back, and I'm like, crap, it's not right. Anyways, journal entry December 7, 1992. I enter the vibrational state and float approximately 2 feet above my body, determined to experience my finer vibratory body. I say aloud, I experience my higher body. After a brief sensation of motion, I'm floating in a different form, and I feel calm and energized, and sense a smoother internal energy. Inwardly, I know I've shifted my inner energy body, but I feel out of sync and my vision is hazy. So I demand complete clarity of awareness. Clarity now. Immediately, my thoughts are clear and I feel extremely light and overflowing with energy. At that moment, my goal flashes in my mind. Quote, I wish to visit another system, end quote. Instantly, I'm moving through a dark void at incredible speed. At first, I'm startled by the speed, but I relax and adapt to the new sensations. Within seconds, I'm floating in space. I look down at myself and see that there is little to see. My form has no arms or legs. I'm like a spherical form of conscious energy, like an orb, huh? For some reason, I'm not surprised. It seems completely natural that arms and legs are unnecessary in whatever state I'm in. I slowly rotate and focus on this spectacular sights around me. In awe, I stare at things I've never seen, never even imagined before. Clusters of lights are everywhere, thousands of them, like Christmas lights strung across the heavens. I feel as if I'm floating in an ocean of lights. My attention is diverted to something I have never seen before. A hazy fog-like form and is visible. The form extends as far as I can see. It looks like an immense curtain of dense fog, except that it appears stable, a permanent fixture hanging in space. I ask for clarity and find myself floating at a different vantage point several miles from the hazy form. Now I see it more clearly. It's larger than my mind can comprehend, stretching across the heavens like an endless border. Suddenly I sense the vibrational energy of someone close by, an intense radiation without form or substance. I am instantly aware of the communication, like a series of clear pictures appearing in my mind. The following is a little disjointed, but as close as words can explain the inner meaning of the pictures. Beautiful it is not. I roll over to see who it is. My awareness is blinded by the intensity of light. I begin to back away and shield myself from the crushing energy. The entity continues to communicate with my mind. I will adjust. The radiation immediately diminishes and I can't perceive a form, only light. I have no form as you understand it. Form is unnecessary, and not many of our kind venture this far in. I am unable to respond. My mind is overwhelmed. I don't know where to begin. The energy being must sense my dilemma and begins to respond. Quote, what you see before you is one of many wonders of the universe. The infinity of fog you see is one of the many inner membranes dividing different frequencies of the universe. What you are witnessing is an inner source or inner structure of the universe. The stars and galaxies you see in the distance are but the outer crust of the universe. The key to true exploration is the movement through energy membranes. As you move further inward and towards the source, your internal energy frequency must change accordingly. You can only cross through the energy barriers that are in accordance with your inner light. What you see before you is the key to stability and structure throughout the universe. I am amazed at the clarity of the pictures entering my mind. This being seems to automatically know my thoughts. Yep, they know our thoughts. All conscious energy souls live within the energy frequency that is in phase with their personal vibratory rate. The membrane before you separates one wavelength of energy from another. As I stare, I can't think of an appropriate response. I feel inadequate, like a child taking an advanced calculus class. The energy being again responds to my thoughts. Quote, you are ready, or you would not be here. All of us are where we should be. I was once as you, and you shall be as I. We are all on a great journey together. Sure, it's a great journey, sure. Your perception of me is inaccurate. I am but a child compared to others who dwell within the universe. The possible evolution of consciousness is unlimited. My identity is unimportant and labels are unnecessary. Remember well what you see for the recognition and exploration of the energy membranes will have a significant impact upon the evolution of your species. End of quote. I am somewhat confused, but the speed of the information entering my mind as I ask for clarification. Quote, I don't understand what purpose of the energy membrane, end of quote. Got that one wrong. It's actually him saying it. I don't understand the purpose of the energy membrane. Then it's no, quote, they simply separate different frequencies of energy from each other. You are observing the convergence point of two different dimensions. Energy membranes provide the necessary substructure for each dimension to exist. They are the eternal cell walls of the living universe. My God, that's incredible. There is much to see. Your adventure is just beginning. How do you mean? You will see soon. I still don't understand. You will, my friend, you will. I snap back into my physical body with a jolt. At first, I am out of sync and I'm unable to move. After 20 seconds or so, I feel my physical sensations returning. After 20 years of out-of-body experiences, I found that there is a natural tendency for our non-physical bodies to become progressively less dense as the experience continues. It appears that our personal frequency rate slowly returns to its normal, in quotes, or natural vibrational state. Our non-physical body slowly adjusts to the vibrational frequency, internal density that is our natural state of being. This process of internal adjustment is reported by several serious out-of-body explorers. Robert Monroe refers to this change when he describes his non-physical form becoming progressively, quote, less humanoid, end quote, in shape as the time duration of his out-of-body experience lengthens. Notice less humanoid. This tendency for us to return to our natural internal frequency rate has another important implication. On countless occasions, on countless occasions, I've noticed that when I'm out of body for more than several minutes, the observed environment slowly fades and a new environment becomes visible. For years, I thought my vision was simply adjusting to its expanded abilities to perceive, but now I realize that this is only part of it. When we are out of body, our non-physical form is not static, as it may first appear, but is actually an expansive energy system that fluctuates in its internal energy frequency. This becomes especially noticeable as we control and extend our non-physical experiences. In other words, the non-physical body is not a body at all, but a highly sophisticated energy system that responds to our thoughts. As we prolong our non-physical adventures, our consciousness has a natural tendency to return to its true non-physical state. As strange as this may sound, I'm not concerned that our concepts related to form, shape, and substance are all temporary conclusions. That doesn't make sense. As strange as this may sound, I am now certain, not concerned, I am now certain that our concepts related to form, shape, and substance are all temporary conclusions. It appears that as soul, we are without form of any kind. Our true self is not humanoid as we now conceived ourselves. Soul, or pure consciousness, is without form, but can and does use various shapes and forms of energy for its purposes. This is very interesting. Soul, you can also say spirits, and pure consciousness is without form, but does use various shapes and forms of energy for its purposes. Like poltergeists, like woodland poltergeists, like Bigfoot. In November 1993, I developed an acute case of pneumonia and was bedridden for 10 days. During my illness, I became extremely weak and didn't eat and sleep 12 hours a day. And slept 12 hours a day. Well, I do that a lot of times. But the third day, I noticed a dramatic increase in my out-of-body experiences. Each time I drifted off to sleep, I would find myself floating just above or near my physical body. As my illness progressed, I experienced a coinciding increase in spontaneous out-of-body experience. It seemed as if the connection between my physical and non-physical body was growing progressively weaker as my illness continued. At the peak of my pneumonia, and for several days thereafter, I felt a sense of freedom that I had never known before. While lying in bed, I would spontaneously slip out of body whenever my physical body dozed off to sleep. Sometimes it felt as if I wasn't connected to my physical body at all. I began to use my physical body like a reference point and staging area to regroup between non-physical explorations. For over a week, I became so detached that I viewed my physical body as a necessary encumbrance to be endured. During this time, I experienced a dramatic increase in cluster out-of-body experiences, generally 2 to 5 separate experiences occurring in sequence. Each experience was quite short, lasting from 30 seconds to several minutes. On a few occasions, I noticed that the sequence of events seemed to address a related topic or subject. For example, one afternoon I dozed off while reading a book about past life regressions. Almost immediately I felt the vibrations and was floating above my body. As I floated comfortably, my thoughts turned to the possibility of past lives and immediately felt a sensation of movement. And that's a good place to stop. Alright, so another section of chapter 2. And we have probably another one that's solving our greatest mysteries. We're still on meetings out of body. So this is about him meeting entities in the out of body. So for what it's worth.
You're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you are going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.